What's happening, hardscapers? This is episode 4 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk to you about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. Tune in every week as we cover a subject and interview industry leaders on how you can grow your hardscaping business, from new installation methods, techniques, tools, marketing, financials, and so much more. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcasting app and leave us a review. This really helps us get this podcast out there into other people's ears and helps us attract more guests onto this show. Today's guest is Paver Pete. He drops by today to talk to us about a few different installation methods for your base, including synthetic and open graded, as well as other ways to help your hardscaping sales. So without further ado, here's our interview with Paver Pete. We are joined on the show today by Paver Pete. He is the Education Director and Sales Coach for TechnoBlock. We're going to talk with him today about a few different base preparation methods that will help you in your installation. One being synthetic base, one being open graded base, and then another one being about pouring a concrete slab to lay on top of. Paver Pete, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure. Looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. So let's just jump in here and get to these three different bases. And one in particular that's kind of jumping out and more people are starting to catch on with is the open graded base. Can you explain to us kind of what this is?
Yeah, well, we're taking permeable pavement technology and applying it to interlocking pavement technology. So you look at traditional interlocking pavement, you have a densely graded stone base, a 3/4 inch angular stone down the lines, a specific gradation of material that needs an optimum moisture percentage, needs to be above freezing, and needs a compactive effort and some way of measuring the density of that material. On top, we would traditionally use a washed concrete sand, a coarse angular particled sand with little to no fines, seat the pavers, then consolidate them down into that bedding layer, starting the process of interlock. About 60, 70, 80 years ago, permeable pavements started to gain in popularity in terms of segmental systems, handheld units specifically, laid with a pronounced joint, typically due to a pronounced spacer bar, a concrete lug. You could use PVC spacer or other technology, and using open graded stone, so 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch clean stone as a base, and then a number 8 stone, what we typically call number 8 stone, which is 1/4 inch clean stone as a bedding layer. So then we said, okay, what if we put the two together? So we had an interlocking system, meaning a sand-filled joint over top of a permeable base, and the term hybrid landscaping came about 5 or 7 years ago. And it's gaining in popularity because open graded stone requires so little to no compact effort. It's at its natural density dumped out of the truck, back dragged into the site. If you're running a compactor over top of it, really it's to arrange the particles to give you a smooth surface to work from. So there's cost savings there. You can pass that on to the consumer, or you can pocket a little more money and be a little more profitable. So that's, I think, why you're seeing more hybrid installations than you have in the recent past.
Excellent. So why do you think contractors, I know you mentioned a couple things there with, improved efficiency and it's a little bit more simpler, but why should contractors be looking at this hybrid landscaping model a little bit more when they're going to price a job?
I think looking at lots of options. If you look at the National Concrete Masonry Association, which is the governing body for segmental retaining walls, almost from their inception with retaining walls, they've recommended either an open graded stone, a densely graded stone, or a unreinforced concrete base under retaining walls. And they don't tell you when which is appropriate. It's just what's appropriate to the job site. Do you need additional drainage under the wall? Is there a lot of twists and curves to the wall where a self-leveling concrete might save you a lot of productivity, even though it costs more? Do you need to elevate the pipe behind the wall to get it to see daylight? A maximum run of 50 feet, it needs to see daylight. So, maybe you would need a densely graded stone base to elevate that pipe up above the grade in front of the wall to get it out. So they kind of leave it up to the contractor. I think The interlocking pavement community has now started to look at interlocking pavement installation the same way. Well, maybe there's times when we're going to use a concrete base and do an overlay. Maybe there's times when we're going to use a hybrid base because we're not close to the foundation of the house, so we're not worried about building a dry well next to it. It's late in the season. It's early in the season, late in the season because typically it's cold, so we can continue working. Early in the season, typically because it's wet, and it's hard to get good base material densely graded that, doesn't have a lot of moisture in it and turns into soup when you try to compact it. So they get to make some better decisions out in the field or in the estimating room, about what would be the appropriate base material for their project, their consumer, their team for that time of the season. And I think that's just being open-minded. So I'm encouraging more, let's have that debate. Let's have that conversation. At my company, TechOblock, we're happy to have that conversation with somebody and throw out a bunch of ideas, as I'm sure many manufacturers are, to help everybody be as successful as possible, produce the best products possible, and keep, teams coming back year in and year out, which is a struggle.
Absolutely. Excellent advice and everything that's going on with this new hybrid model. But I want to turn this conversation to something that's come on the market very recently, and that's the synthetic base. Another way of kind of installing and a new method to lay down a base. Can you explain this synthetic base model and when you might use this?
Yeah, there's applications where you might not have as steep a slope. Applications, whether they be permeable or interlocking, where you're dealing with an in situ or virgin soil, the soil has not been disturbed, or the home is old enough that any of the soil that was disturbed during construction of the house has now gone back to its in situ or virgin state. In those applications, using these synthetic materials, these panels, in the place of, 6 inches, 8 inches, maybe a foot of excavation and stone and bedding layer, might be a great option for the consumer for a patio, for a walkway, for a pool deck. And you're seeing more and more of it being done. And honestly, you're not seeing complaints. Consumers are happy. The installers are happy. Where long-term performance is very high. Are there some restrictions? Sure, there are some restrictions. I mean, very steep slopes where you have to change elevations and grades. That might change you back to an open graded stone base or to a densely graded stone or a concrete base. So again, we're not looking at this myopically. We're looking at it and saying, okay, we got a lot of options here. What's the best for our consumer? Give them the best value. How can we save them some money on excavation and base installation and returning that base potentially to 98% of standard Proctor density, and maybe go with a synthetic material and then take the money that they saved, apply it to a wood-fired oven or a gas-fired fire feature or a grill island. So that they have something other than pavement to stand on in their backyard. They have the ability to make a pizza or grill a steak or do something like that. So there's some upsell opportunities that come in with synthetic base that just weren't available to us in the past. So to not look at them as an option, these panels in the place of densely graded or open graded stone, permeable or interlocking, sometimes you'd be remiss.
Absolutely. And I like that you brought up that upsell opportunity there, because the last time I saw you speak, you guys were really talking about, when you're selling a job, that's like the hamburger that you buy. But the upsells are like the fries and Coke, the things that can really bring in profit into your business and are really easy to kind of put some extra money into your pocket because you're already selling a job. And I like that you guys went into that and really explained that at your last showcase there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we say at TechOblock, we make the most modern, the most contemporary. We have a rustic line. We have those products that when they stand outside and look around at their finished hamburger or patio or walkway or driveway or pool deck, they're going to be thrilled with the decision they made. But if it is a patio and they're standing on it, I'd like them to have something to do. And wood-fired ovens, we have a Forno oven kit with wood textured base, our Borealis product or graphics wall, or any of these great double-sided structural walls that we produce that can be used as a base for a wood-fired oven. People call them pizza ovens. I hate that because cast iron cooking is not only good for you, but it's one of the best tasting foods out there. So, cooking in that environment is fun and engages the family and honestly keeps people away from computers and cell phones. So that's a win. But fire pits, in my community, lots of little kids in the neighborhood, and, they know me as the guy that's willing to make s'mores anytime. So they'll knock at the door and say, Mr. Pete, what do we do? Yep, I got the ingredients. Let's go. And we go out in the backyard and there's something to do. My patios are blue product with blue grande with a border of Victorian. But whatever the product is, there's something to do back there. There's some enjoyment that can be had. At night, I can look out the window and see my wife with neighbors having a glass of wine or a sip of beer or something and just having a conversation around that fire pit, and it's all lit up. I have down lighting on the fire pit. I have up lighting on the plants. It's something to do, and it's something that keeps people away from televisions and computers. So upsell, yes. We get to make more profit, yes. But let's give somebody something to do outside.
Incredible, and I like that mindset there, getting people outside, getting people to really enjoy their outdoor living space. Now there's one last base installation method I want to talk with you about, and that's pouring a concrete slab in order to lay over top of, or using that type of method to complete your project. Can you explain why you would want to go into that with this method?
Well, typically you see overlays done in situations where you have existing concrete. The problem is, there's two types of ready-mix concrete, crack and gonna crack. So it can be very difficult to work in that environment. Having a proper pitch to that concrete away from the foundation, minimum 1/4 inch or 2% pitch is very important. So we have to do those kinds of things to get that we have to get that water away from the house and deal with any cracks and imperfections in the concrete. So those issues can be tough to deal with. So what do? We typically pull out the concrete. Well, why would you put it back? Well, you might put it back because you want to expand into maybe a pool area, a liner pool, a fiberglass pool, which typically has a concrete band around it. Maybe you have a number of different grill islands or wood-burning structures that have a concrete base and you want to tie into them. So you pour it correctly. You may be even pinning into the foundation. And in maybe a high water table example, you don't have to worry about super saturation of an aggregate base because it's cementitious. It's bound together. So typically I would pull out a concrete base because if it had failed, and look at aggregate options because they're less expensive for the consumer. But there are times, hey, I'm pinning into that foundation or I'm tying into slabs that I have under major grill islands or outdoor kitchen areas, and I'm just going to pour the whole thing and veneer it. We have a full line of veneer products at TechoBlock, so you can adhere in a border, traditional thickness, maybe 60 millimeters, glue with the flow of water, screw your bedding layer over a layer of geotextile fabric, screed your bedding layer, and lay these veneer products. Save the consumers a lot of money. Save your crews a lot of time, maybe get 1 or 2 more jobs done that season, and then you can make decisions about upsell opportunities.
Excellent advice. And another thing that popped up into my head now was I saw a video of you a while back about amending the soil before you start your base preparation. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of amending soil if need be and why you should do it?
Well, I think the phenomena has been for many years simply putting a geotextile fabric over the subgrade so now you can't see it. And since you can't see it, it's not a problem. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we have 3 soil types. We have clays, silts, and sand materials. Silts and sands are a little less troublesome because they tend to drain water better. Clay particles, that's our problem. And it's our predominant soil type, so we have the most of it. So we want to amend that subgrade to increase its bearing ability in an interlocking pavement. Permeable, a little different. I'll cover that in a second. But in an interlocking application, we would want to amend it with a chemical amendment like lime, 50 pounds per 100 square feet, or an open graded stone, a 3/4 inch clean stone. That clean stone and that chemical amendment lime will change the chemistry, change the gradation, increase the bearing ability. In a permeable pavement, Well, we simply scarify the soil, open up the surface, integrate a little bit of number 8 stone, no compactive effort at all, and then we can put our geotextile fabric in. So looking at a soil type, specifically clay, that's our most common, it's our biggest problem. And saying interlocking pavement, let's make it stronger. Permeable pavement, let's increase its rate of infiltration. Either one's going to require an amendment or a system to get it to that direction.
Excellent advice here, Paver Pete, on this podcast. Now, Techo Block always has great things going on. Can you talk a little bit about what we can look forward to coming out with Techo Block?
Absolutely. This is our 15th year of the Techo Block Contractor Showcase event, kind of an anniversary year. That's pretty exciting. So we start filming in Montreal Monday, and we finish up in one of the states on the East Coast. I'm not going to say yet because it's kind of exciting and a little different. So we're going to be filming for about a month, and then you'll start to see some of the promos coming out. We get some really neat, exciting, different applications. Heated pavement, for example, done differently than ever before with little to no excavation. So that's pretty exciting. A new product called a Hexa, an elongated hexagonal unit with the HD2 technology from Techo, with some great finishes, great colors that I think, and patterns that haven't been seen before. So you're going to see a lot of even industrial applications with mechanical installation on vehicular traffic applications that you haven't seen from anyone else, including Techo, in the past. So I'm real excited about the showcase event. It's opportunity, and those who have been there know we do talk about our products, obviously, but it is a great education opportunity. You get Interlocking Concrete Pavement Institute credits, NCMA credits for attending the shows. And we really have a great time and take questions and interact with the audience. So please don't miss that opportunity to be a part of it in the coming year.
Thank you so much for joining us here today and taking the time out of your day, Paver Pete. Really appreciate it.
No problem. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you at Showcase.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Visit us at howtohardscape.com for more information on this subject, and let us know what you want to learn about in future episodes by reaching out to us on our social channels or just sending us an email, contact@howtohardscape.com. We reached out to you on Instagram and our Facebook account to ask you if you would be interested in participating in a 10 to 15 minute survey. This survey would include questions about your business, and we would get this out to as many hardscapers as we could so that we could create an industry report. And we had an overwhelming response to this of hardscapers that would be interested in joining us for the survey. And not only that, but hardscapers that would be interested in sharing the survey. So we're going ahead with this survey. We're creating it. It's pretty much created at this point, but we want to reach out to you and ask you if there's any questions that you definitely want to see on this survey, questions that you want to see other hardscapers answering that would really help you in your business. So if you want to let us know on our Instagram account through direct messages or even on our email address, contact@howtohardscape.com, let us know what questions you would want answered on this survey. We would love it if you would subscribe to this podcast, leave us a review. Again, this really helps us get more guests onto this show and to get this podcast out there, a great way that you can support us. We look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.